Okay, there's a lot of drummers. Let's talk business a bit.
Okay.
The influence of the digital on the, life of drummers today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of drummers who say because of that, there's, fewer sessions, there's not so much work for drummers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's American drummers who say, oh, we have to go over to Europe because there's more work over in Europe.
That's
there's
right.
European drummers who say, oh, we have to go to America because there's not enough work here.
Yeah.
What's it like, from your perspective? Do you see that change?
Oh, absolutely, for the last 15 years. Yeah, it's very sad, actually.
That's something to talk about at clinics as well, I would say.
Yeah, I do, actually, if the question comes up, I do talk about that a little bit, but I try not to linger too much on it because I don't want to, it's a little sad and I don't want to bring that into the clinic, and I also want to, I want to keep it more about playing and music and drums, not too much about the business, a little bit, just so they are aware of what it's like. The basic problem is we don't have a record buying culture anymore. That's where it all starts. And the whole concept of owning music is going. The whole concept of owning a book, owning a movie, owning software, because it's all on a subscription base. And I just had a pretty upsetting issue with Avid over Pro Tools at one of my clinics, because there's something gone wrong. I'm using 12.7. It's a subscription-based payment system. And the iLok obviously didn't get whatever information it was, and Pro Tools went poof and disappeared. Right in front of the audience. I'm ready. What? So I had to go online. Thankfully, they had internet. We had to fiddle around with this, with the password. We got on. Soon as the computer connected with Avid, as it does automatically, then it gave me my authorization back, and then I could start the clinic. Wow. I mean, I think that's awful. I think it's really disgusting, and it's the same with ownership of music, because whenever time I pick this iPhone up and I forget I've got loads of music on it, and I go to music, I'm on a plane and nothing's working, I go, oh shit, none of it's downloaded. It's got the cloud, because I forget that that's what we're living in now. That's our basic problem. So record sales are much lower, therefore budgets for recording are much lower. Software has made it possible for anybody to record something, no matter how badly. Records sound dreadful now, because nobody knows how to do it. They rely on people like myself and real engineers, real mastering engineers, to master. And yet the stuff I get to master is awful. It's just, you look at the sound wave. It's just flat, because they don't understand how to use their equipment. And it's really, it's very upsetting. It's very sad that the culture of recording in a room together, of making that happen, is kind of has been reduced. I don't think it's getting lost, because I think there's enough musicians that want to do that.
Yeah, but as you know very well from the 70s already, I was always really expensive. I mean, to actually make your way to a studio and make an album.
It was always expensive.
90% of all bands were already, excluded from that. And that was the basic, filter, right?
That
money
was the filter.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now money is not the filter, and the equipment is not the filter. It is in quality, possibly, but it seems like the companies, record companies, software companies, whoever, have not worked out yet what to do with this, and
well, and you have to look at it from their point of view. And from a record company's point of view, I know I run a small label, so how are they going to make money? How are they actually going to be able to operate their business? I mean, I'm not even talking about making a profit. I'm talking about being able to pay their overheads as a simple record company in one office, one room. You need storage space for CDs. That's going to take up another room, but you're paying checks every month for rent, insurance, you know, the bank account always, they charge you, and your employees.
Payroll and
It's crazy. So how do they make their money? They can't make it just off CD sales or downloads, and so now they have to have a much bigger percentage of the artist's income, and that's why every record deal now is a 360-degree deal. It's publishing, entertainment, live performance, merchandising. They've got to take a cut because otherwise they can't do anything.
It's a concert market these days. I mean, back in the 70s, the 80s, album sales was the thing, and concerts were advertising for, you know,
you would get
the
record company support to go out on tour.
Now it's the other way around.
It's totally the other way around. It's now there is no recording business as such. It's called the entertainment business.
True.
That's what I think of the music business now. And with that, it's become, you know, that all bands are having to do VIP meet and greets, compulsory signing. Everybody wants a picture now. It's just, it's changed, and you know, I don't particularly enjoy it now, but it's change, and it's life, and you have to adapt.
Yeah, that's true. Talking about adapting, you've had numerous situations in your professional life where you actually had to step into somebody else's shoes, like with The Who.
Yep.
Those are quite big shoes, by the way.
And Toto.
And Toto, yes.
Yep.
So how do you approach that? I mean, how much of it do you want it to be you, and how much of it, of course, do you want to stay true to the original?
Music first. I don't think about the scenario of replacing a drummer. I don't think about you know, I want to make my big stamp on this. I just play the music, and I'm just going to play the way I am. I'm not very good at copying. I just sound like me. Whatever I do, it's just it's, you know, I play the music. That's exactly what I do. I learn the music. I listen to it with the previous drummer, but some of it I will play, you know, the way I would approach it from a musical point of view. And if there's something that I kind of that tickles me about the way that they played it, I might just, out of a tip of the hat to them, out of respect, I might play some stuff that they play. And I would do that, not every gig maybe, but when I felt like it, I would do that. But no. Just
for the heck of it.
With The Who, it was basically Pete Townshend's music, and it's great music to play. I play it my way. And that's the way it is. Same with Toto, you know. It would be, frankly, I think, disrespectful for me to copy Jeff. I think it's different now. So now the band specifically chose me to do it because I wouldn't sound like Jeff. I had a very strong identity in terms of sound and playing, and they didn't want somebody to come in. Otherwise, they would have got, you know, JR or Vinny or Greg, you know, any of the guys in LA who would have done a wonderful job, and it would sound kind of like Jeff, but that's not really, you know, they're a rock and roll band. That's what they're first and foremost. And at that time, Kingdom of Desire was a little bit more rocky. Luke was way into, you know, being a bit more of a rock band. Plus, it was only a 4-piece. He was doing most of the singing. So it was, in a way, it actually suited the band very well at that time. So, you know, it's all about just respecting the music and playing what it needs to be. And it was a big change for that band. The Who, not so much, because remember, Kenny Jones stepped in first. So they'd already had that buffer. So when I came in, you know, and it was always Pete's choice, not Roger's. And frankly, I don't think I was Roger's favorite drummer, because I think I was too explosive or maybe too jazzy for him, you know. He had this thing about, you know, which is kind of rubbish really, because it is rock and roll, you know. Pete loved it, and John at first was very surprised but loved it in the end, you know. But with Toto, I was straight in after Jeff. And it's been such a close-knit band. They grew up together.
They didn't have time to actually get used to that situation.
I mean, it's more than just replacing the musician. It's replacing somebody that's been their brother for all this time. So it was very tricky. And, you know, Lukather, he was the catalyst. Page was just, I mean, he was just, he couldn't even operate. I mean, he just didn't want to play. He'd lost his, Jeff was his best friend, you know, he'd lost his best friend and his partner. Mike, he lost his real brother, but he was trying the hardest he could to let's make this work. It was Luke, though, that lit the fire and said, come on, let's get Simon, let's make this work, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be great, guys. And I think he really put himself out on a limb, because, I mean, he didn't know me that well. We'd only played once together, and otherwise he'd heard me on all the records. He didn't really know. Page had seen me with The Who, and he'd seen me on the Pete Townshend videos, and also Jeff had too, and Jeff used to talk about, oh yeah, with Page, you know, so, but, you know, it was still a big risk. It could have been awful. But
probably not so much, you know.
Well, the first song we rehearsed, they said, right, here we all are, done a sound check, what do you want to play? I said, let's do Hydra. And they went, okay, we haven't played Hydra for years. That's about the hardest one of the whole set. I said, let's play it. And I had all my charts, which I'd done on the plane on the way over, and we played Hydra, the whole thing, top to bottom. I was just reading what I'd written, my little notes, you know. And at the end of, as the decay of the last note went away and suddenly the room became silent, Luke said, turned to Mike, I think this is going to work. And that was it. And then for the next 3 weeks we rehearsed. So, yeah.
And the rest is history, of course.
21 years later, I had no idea. Exactly. I mean, really, the deal was we have 42 shows over the next 3 months. We have rehearsals. Would you come and play with us? Because they didn't even know what they were going to do. I mean, at that point, they thought the band was over. But they had a record. They had 40 people on the payroll. They just felt, we've got to do this. And if Simon can do it, we'll do it. And that's how it was. 3 weeks into the tour, Mike asked me, he said, do you want to join the band? And I went, wow, I don't know. I mean, are you going to carry on? I said, if you join us, we'll carry on. That was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, then Luke was like, no, you got to join us, man. This is working. This is great. It's different, but it's working. Yeah. I think Page was a little bit more kind of, I think it was difficult for him.
Yeah.
But in the end, he was there, and we made Tambu, the first record, together, and the rest is history.
Yeah. That's true.